Hello Redditors, welcome back to Tales Against Humanity. Now, let's get started. In today's episode, customer expects me to read her mind and figure out she has an allergy. Party of 12 walks in 30 minutes before we close. They sit down and order a crap ton of drinks, but only a few appetizers as their food order. It's all willy-nilly and I'd already been weeded for an hour, but I was running my butt off and getting everything out in decent time. Then this lady decides to order a cup of soup chicken. Her husband informs me, "Yes, that soup has chicken in it." I reply, confused, as the menu lists all the ingredients. They say nothing else, so I go put in their order and fetch the soup when it's ready. It comes out and I drop it. Then 5 minutes later they call me over again. "This soup has shrimp in it." She's deathly allergic to shrimp, I say nothing. I bring it back to the kitchen, but they've already gotten rid of all the soup as it's now half an hour past close and everybody's food had already gone out. Then my manager walks by, listens to the story and goes, "She couldn't drink the soup. Even without the shrimp, cause the broth isn't on the matrix either." They ended up tipping okay after I took the soup off, but I was a bit annoyed. Cause who thinks simply stating chicken is a good way to let your server know you're allergic to shrimp. Another lady at that table demanded her to go order I put in when we closed be taken off her bill because it was cold when she left 4 to 5 minutes after close. Joke's on her though, cause I got her food for free and it was still delicious. Edit: I should have specifically mentioned, but I hadn't thought it was necessary. We have 3 specific soups on the menu, one of which is wonton, and she ordered one soup. Story 2. Sorry stupid poor. $1.50 tab with no tip. Sorry stupid poor was written below the total. He didn't even have the nerve to hand me the bill. He waited till I walked away to give it to the bartender who, in his own way, told the guy he was a dick for this. Now, for some reason, when I was handed the bill, I wasn't even upset, and I have no idea why. The host of the party had made it a point to ask me every time someone cashed out if they took care of me, and it was no different when this guy closed out. When she walked over to me, I was holding the bill, and she noticed the tip crossed out. She was livid but explained that his father had just passed, and he was unexpectedly saddled with his father's debt and truly was broke. Typically, he is invited, and someone offers to pay for him, so he isn't left out since this is a close group of people. They further explained that his bill was supposed to be covered by someone else, and are not sure why he paid it at all. They tipped me for him. I have no idea why, but this really broke my heart. My heart broke even more when he asked for a box and then scavenged for the scraps left behind by the people who left. I offered to pay for a meal that he had already left. I never had this happen before. I mean, I've been stiffed before, but I've never felt bad for the person stiffing me. Story 3. Gluten-free, you say? A party of 8 made a reservation to celebrate a birthday with the owner. We don't take reservations, but the birthday girl knew the owner. Cool, no problem. A man and woman show up an hour early. No problem. I set them up and offer drinks. They order drinks and the lady cuts me off in the middle of my sentence. "Can I get you anything to snack on while you wait for your party?" Saying we're early, but you'll need to feed my husband now. Fine, I wanted to tell her I'd serve her husband, but I wouldn't feed him. At this point, it was obvious this lady was going to be a PETA. After the rest of the party arrives, and as they're all ordering, the PETA informs me she's allergic to gluten. I go through the menu, letting her know what's safe, and she proceeds send me to the kitchen to check labels, multiple times. She finally decides to order boneless wings. I inform her they're breaded and not safe. She tells me she'll be okay and to just get it for her, in a nasty tone. I tell her I can't because she told me she's allergic to gluten and don't want to be responsible for making her sick. She asked for the manager, so I got the owner, after explaining what was happening. The owner told her exactly what I told her. She ended up with a salad with oil and vinegar because we just can't take a chance. Muahaha. Bye, Karen. Story 4. A waitress puked over table 20. They're not mad. Okay, so this story isn't really about what happened itself, more about the context leading up to it. In the bar I worked at as a bartender previous to the one where I work now, drinking a lot was normal. This was truly a bar. People came in to get hammered regularly, and on Friday and Sunday night, we had a DJ too. Now, this bar has its own brewery in the cellar. They brew 3 kinds of beer, one of which is probably the best I've ever had. So they have their own beer, and given that this plays out in Germany, they need their own schnapps, liqueur too. This was outsourced, but there were 3 kinds of liquor branded as specifically this bar's. And to sell more of these, there was a special shift for the busy evenings, in addition to FOH, bartenders, service, etc. This shift was the monk. The monk's job was to sell as much liquor as possible. That was their whole job. They had a little basket with 4 bottles, the 3 aforementioned, and a horrible sweet abomination. They would go from table to table and ask if people wanted a shot or 4. That was their whole job. Now, this job was in high demand, and getting a shift as a monk was given out by management as a treat. This had 2 reasons. 1, you bought the alcohol from the bar for a certain amount of money, and if you sold its content for profits, that went to you as tip. I personally made over 300 euro in tips in a single night, which in Germany is insane. Secondly, what's a good way to sell more shots? Join in on the drinking. We had explicit permission to let people buy us as many shots as we could handle. At the end of a shift, a monk was usually blackout drunk. You can probably see where this is going. If a young female waitress got the shift as monk, and she had tables of young men in the mood to party, it was a regular thing that those tables actively tried to make the monk drunk. We'll take another round for us 9, but only if you join us, and on that fateful night, table 20 succeeded. They got the monk so drunk, she eventually threw up on their table. Luckily, they found this ravishingly hilarious, and I bet they made her a lot of money that night.